I started one of the biggest lies I ever told myself. I don't care.
That could be extremely, extremely hurtful and damaging.
What happens when someone else has access to their closet when you're not around?
I'm done living this story.
Let go of some of that guilt and getting to the place where even recognizing that it was an option to heal.
So that is a very interaction that changed trajectory of your life forever.
You are a giant in this space, and you are so necessary, bro.
You can't always make a situation better, but you can always make it worse. But sometimes not making it worse is exactly what it needs to get better.
What's up, family? It's your main man, Coach Crump, on another episode of the Boy Man King podcast. And I got my main man with me, Chisy. Say what's up to the people, Chisy.
What's going on, everybody, man? I'm happy to be here. Happy Sunday to everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. I'm excited. Let's get it.
Listen, man, we got none other than one of the greatest speakers in the game, author,
Yes,
husband. Man, this guy is doing it all. Chris Daughtery is in the building, man. Welcome to the Boy Man King platform. What's good, fam?
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank
You know,
for doing it.
and we gotta shout out social love to the next level community. My man's representing Dallas. Now, are you a Cowboys fan? Are you a Cowboys fan?
Why you gotta hit me in the ribs like that?
The people want to know. The people want to know. I'm just giving the people what they want.
Being a Cowboys fan is like being in an abusive relationship. You just hoping that it's gonna turn.
So
yeah, unfortunately,
that's why you in the mental health profession, because you the trauma.
It's trauma. It's trauma bonding for sure.
I get it. Now I got it. But man, first and foremost, on behalf of Boy Man King, my man Chisy, we just want to welcome you to the platform, man. And I'm gonna let Chisy get right to it.
Yeah, man. We want to thank you for joining us, man. We know that you're in a space. You have an organization called Boys to Men. What's Boys to Gentlemen? Gentlemen to Boys.
It's from Boys to Gentlemen. I don't want to get sued. Boys to Men is something totally different. They already upstairs, but it's from Boys to Gentlemen.
He thought you was in the group. Chris, I know you got to start 5 times to your 5 boys. It was only 4 dudes, man. We know he can speak. Nobody said he can sing.
Man.
Man, he's trying to cancel us on the internet already. We can't even use the name. Man, come on,
smoke. From Boys to Gentlemen,
from Boys to Gentlemen. My apologies. From Boys to Gentlemen. Man. Let's talk a little bit about Chris Daughtery. We know you function in the mental health space, and you have a program that's geared towards helping boys and men, I would assume, transition and deal with their mental health challenges. I too occupy a space in that area as well, man. So let's go back a little bit. Let's start from Chris growing up in Dallas. What was it like? What was your inspiration? Why this lane? Why did you choose to enter into a space? Because again, this is somewhat thankless work. Chris and I have done a lot of work working with young men over the years, and this is thankless work, but it's passionate work and it's rewarding work all in the same. So tell us a little bit about your journey from a boy, and then we're going to get to you becoming a gentleman as well as a king, as we're on Boy Man King platform. So I like the name. The moniker is amazing. I like the branding of it. So let's talk a little bit about you growing up in Dallas, what that life was like for you. I mean, how did you get to a space where you decided this is something that I want to occupy, embody, and kind of hone and take on your own? And talk to us a little bit.
So I'm actually from Abilene, Texas.
Texas. Okay.
Yes. So a little bit for myself. I grew up not knowing who my biological father was. My biological mother left when I was about 6 months. So I was raised by my grandparents. So it kind of left me with a two-sided situation. I had the best father I could possibly ask for, my grandfather. But also I knew what it was like to cry myself asleep at night, wanting to know why this man don't love me and why he don't want me. So I grew up dealing that. And I tell people, I'm only 5'7", so I'm considered short. And one thing about growing up in the hood and being short, you got to have 3 attributes. You got to know how to talk mess. You got to know how to run fast. You got to know how to fight. And so I got that crash course in all of those things just for the survival standpoint. And so I remember one time I was kind of showing my age a little bit, but I was watching In Living Color. And, they call it capping right now, roasting.
You know what I'm
Yeah, for
saying? Chris
sure.
is a living color,
And so,
man.
I'm gathering my
Faith on
material because
television.
we used to call it the dozens. So we out there, we talking
Okay.
about everything. So we there at the playground, and I'm getting the best of one of my partners. And
Yeah.
then they said something I wasn't prepared for. They said, "At least I know who my daddy is."
My
Ooh,
goodness.
now it's time to
And-
cry, fight, or both. And I didn't know how to
yeah.
respond to that. But
How old were you
one of,
then? How old were you at that
I
point
was
when you
about 7 or
yeah.
8, so I was
Man,
still in
Obviously,
man.
elementary.
because
Hey,
kids are
Chris, bruh. Let me tell you about not kids. Baby's kids. Hey, hood
yeah.
kids, bro. Hood kids are ruthless.
Savage.
Hey, listen.
Kids
At the
themselves are
same, bro,
ruthless,
I
man.
was 8 or 9 when I got found out from my cousin them. That ain't your real mama. Like the whole
Yeah.
adoption, like my parents weren't even able to like sit me down at the dinner table and say, Chris,
Kids gonna
we
tell it.
want to take. No, it was at a fight in the yard, and somebody say, "That ain't your real mama." I'm like, "Mama," I'm running the house. Like, "Mama, they say you ain't my real mama." Like, it's amazing when you in the hood how things
Yeah.
are just dumped on you, and you got a response in real time, man. It's crazy.
Right.
Absolutely,
So what did that do for
man.
you? Do you remember that feeling as an 8-year-old when some guy's just like, "Yo, you don't even know who your dad is"? I can imagine what that did for you. Do you remember what
Oh,
that
for
was
sure.
like?
It was a pivotal point in my life to where I started one of the biggest lies I ever told myself, and the biggest
Mm.
lie I went with was I don't care, and
Okay.
that was my protection. So this is what I did know. He said it, and somebody else gonna say it. Now here's the irony: he didn't even know his daddy either. Like it was
Oh,
just something that he knew was going to raise that emotional response. And so I
right.
fell into that trap of I don't care, I don't care, and I'm believing it. And it felt good for a moment. But I asked
Yeah.
some, just like I asked some of the people that I work with when I'm speaking, I said, "You ever try to clean your room by throwing everything in the closet? The
Yeah.
room looked good,
Yeah.
spectacular, but
Bars.
that closet though." And then here's the bigger problem: what happens when someone else has access to that closet when you're not around? You have no control on how stuff comes out. So that's what started happening to me.
Man,
I
stop. Hold
started
on. Time
being
out.
in a
Time out. You
situation.
stop. You ain't finna drive by that, man. You ain't finna like stop that. We ain't doing that. We not doing that. My man said, "Have you ever tried to clean your room? Have you ever tried to clean your situation by throwing it all in the closet?" But what you forget is that when you're not in the room, other people have
Other
access to the
people have
closet.
access. That's
And
the first
Sure.
time
man,
I've
when
heard
that
that
comes out,
analogy. That's a big analogy. That's the first time I've heard that really and truly. So that's a perspective, because it's one thing to know that what you pushed away, what you swept under the rug, and there's another thing when individuals, maybe loved ones, maybe other people, have access to that you're completely oblivious to. They can kind of hit you with it randomly, because you can
Yeah,
control when you pull stuff out of your closet. You can control when you decide that you want to address this stuff when you open that door. But for other people to do it, that could be extremely hurtful and damaging.
Chris,
absolutely. And wait,
have you ever been told do you consider yourself or somebody have told you that you have an old soul?
yeah,
Have you ever like yeah
all the
and let me
time.
tell you and let me tell you right because I got the same thing right. And when you said your grandparents raised you, it triggered me
Yeah.
because
Right.
my parents was grandparents when they raised me. They had already raised 6 kids, and they raised me.
Yeah,
So there's a couple synergies we got that I'm starting to see this similarity, and then you got the old soul, so you get the wisdom from the consistency and the they just you can go to the bank that they're gonna always be there and they're gonna be the same way every single day. And so that brings you a certain level of assurance. But then because you don't know your biological parents who birthed you, which I was
yeah,
adopted as well, you create a narrative that you live in to help you cope. So we
one
talked
hundred
about the
percent.
lie. And I remember I had a narrative of a lie. Chisy was getting to, but I want to kind of like focus a little bit on, and
For
when we
sure.
as young men process trauma and we create something in our head to help us cope. I know when my son was born, not my daughter. My daughter made me question, but I was
Hmm.
26 when my son was born. When I said I don't want to live the lie no more. What was that time in your life where you realized, whether I know them or not, whether I ever get to build a relationship, I'm done living this story I've told myself to help myself cope with myself instead of just saying, you know what, remove the mask. I'm ready to deal with all of me, even the parts that's in the closet. Do you know when that time happened, what age that was for you?
It is this same time. Kind of like we were saying before, when you got that closet and all of that's packed in, you start snapping on people and it don't even make sense. And so I'm sitting in a situation where people are saying things to me and I'm going off and it don't line up. And I used to have a saying all the time, people punch the face they can reach. I remember I used to work at Sprint. People was coming in there cussing me out because something customer service said, but they couldn't get the customer service. They could get to me. So it would be that. And so as I started going through that process, it really hit a standing point when my little cousin, he huge now. Shout out to Lance. He big, probably about 6'3", 6'4", big NFL lineman type. But at that time, it was my little cousin, and showing my age again, Nintendo controller. It's all the way rolled up, nice and neat. And so he just comes in the room, little kid, he probably 4 or 5, and he grabs the Nintendo controller just on rappers pressing on a button, and I started going off on them. So my auntie comes in the room and she starts shaking me. It's like, son, what's going on with you? What's wrong? And I said, man, I don't even know. And I'm embarrassed. And so one thing I do know, I'm finna get that whooping. Like I said, with my grandparents, I'm finna get that whooping. And so I don't know if you ever rode a roller coaster. You know how your stomach feel when you about to drop? Every time that screen door slammed, oh my God, stomach dropping, just nervous. And so finally, my grandfather comes in and he calls me from down the hallway. He says, Chris, come here. And I'm just nervous. I step out and he says, son, I need you to talk to me. And first time in my life ever, I said, no, Papa. He said, son, said it again, son, I need you to talk to me. Said, no, Papa. Son, I need you to talk to me. I said, Papa just whooped me, because that external pain was easier to deal with the internal pain. I had no idea how I knew he wanted to talk about my biological father, but I had made up in my mind I wasn't going to disrespect the man that's been there every single day for me, because I'm sitting in a situation where I'm searching for something I might not ever get. I don't know how to deal with it. And so I'm slowly but surely getting right in front of him. So he's continuing to ask me. And as I stand in front of him, I put my head on his sternum. He puts his hand behind my head. He says one more time, baby, I need you to talk to me. And I lost it. I was like, man, why he don't want me? Why he don't love me? Was I an ugly baby? Was my diaper too bad? Child, just trying to bring some rationale to it. And it was at that moment he taught me something that I'll never forget. He taught me emotional intelligence. He modeled it for me. He gave me a safe place to start talking through those things that I didn't understand, I couldn't comprehend. So it changed my perspective, because now I'm not walking around with this guilt of feeling ungrateful because I have my grandparents, but I still want to know who this man is. I still want to know who's these other pieces of my life. And because he was willing to give me that safe place to process that out, it changed the whole perspective. So he really started that mindset of, okay, what he does for me is what I seek to do for other young men. What safe place can you create? What opportunity can you give them to really start to speak to themselves? Because sometimes we want to speak life into them, but they can't even recognize their own voice. It's so much trauma packed in there. It's so many other things that are constantly pressed and compressed. We don't get the opportunity to heal because we don't even know that healing is necessary. We just trying to make, kind of like you said, Coach Crump, it's just a coping mechanism. I'm just trying to make it through the next day, or I'm trying to not look like a punk instead of really getting that opportunity. So that was really the moment that was the turning point for me, to really start let go of some of that guilt and getting to the place where even recognizing that it was an option to heal.
So obviously you're speaking from the perspective of a man who's a husband, who's a father, who's had life experiences, who's now highly emotionally intelligent. When that interaction was with your grandfather, how old were you? Still 8, 9, 10? How old were you?
About nine or 10.
9. So that's still a high level of emotional intelligence for a 9-year-old, because as we know, this stuff plays out for years. Obviously, we have grown men today who never come to the realization of the anger that they feel and express and the choices that they make now. They can't even make the connection to whatever took place in their childhood or whatever adverse experiences they had when they were younger. So so it's a blessing for you in particular at 9 years old to be able to have that high emotional intelligence, one, and have a grandfather who recognized that that's exactly what you needed at that time. Because your trajectory could have been extremely different had he still took the stance of, I'm gonna whoop you and I'm just gonna be old school, because there's a lot of old school grandparents who still take that particular approach when it comes to, parenting, and when it comes to discipline. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So kudos to your grandpa for being able to recognize that this my son, my grandson, this is exactly what he needs at this moment. And I'll bet $1 million that is the very interaction that changed your life, the trajectory of your life forever. Because it could have been 100%. Very, very different.
Yeah, and what's interesting, I'm listening to you, man. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm like, the difference between me and you, I just kept getting whipped until I was 13. My last whooping was 13. And
getting into trouble and doing a pack. I'm pretty sure, as a 9-year-old, you can still get into mischief, of course, obviously.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that he was able to find, like, I organically found a safe place with a man when I was 15 with my mentor cousin. He got out of prison, Maurice. But for you to find a safe place with your father or your father figure at 9 and just release and all that be okay, you be confused and all that be okay. Like, out to Chisy's point, I was in my 20s married with children when I first had aha. And then I found the prayer line. I was 27. Yeah. And then it still, to Chisy's point again, it still took years of in that space to figure things out, or to at least get a sense of direction or where you're going in that intangible space, in that emotional space, in that spiritual space, in that relational space. It's like we're so used to doing the exterior thing, and how to facilitate that is easy. But that interior work is like, bro, if you don't get a safe space, if you don't get a mentor, if you don't get a community, if you don't get some information, it is lost in translation of where you go, where you start, where you stop. And then, like you said, you start doing stuff that don't make sense. And so, like you mentioned like arguing over the Nintendo Corp, but me and Chisy could tell you as grown men. So you was 9 years old to just maybe go with your cousin and have a fight. But when you don't have none of that being dealt with, and you become a grown man, and you do something that don't make sense to try to fight, now you get reconciled, you get arrested, you get divorced, you get you get separation, you get custody child. Like, it becomes way more damaging to you, all because in the moment you just didn't have the coping skills, the safe place, the understanding, the emotional intelligence, the wherewithal. You know what I mean? Like, it's just interesting hearing, like, wow. So for me, your old soul, coupled with the safe space of you having that at 9, I can see how a man like you will have a certain ilk in your 20s to stand on business, get married, raise children, be stable. And when did you get married? When did you have your first child?
I had my first child when I was 25.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But for me,
Go ahead, Carl. Go
ahead, Carl. To me, listening to you, that all makes sense. That you wouldn't be somebody who struggles with commitment and struggles with identity and struggles with emotional intelligence way into your late 30s and 40s, because it was like my grandfather not only exemplified it, he created a space, and I was able to walk into manhood more seamlessly. You know what I mean? Leaving from adolescence and late teenagers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I definitely don't want to paint a false narrative. That's when I was exposed.
Yeah.
That ain't when I got it. Because when I say, because in that same sense, I lost my grandfather when I was 18. I almost didn't graduate high school simply because I was going into class and just trying to keep up that facade. Like, I used to call it my hell week, because he passed on April the 3rd. We buried him on April the 7th. His birthday was on April the 11th. So just to have that, like, first starting to get into it. And for my grandfather, he was like a superhero to me. He was in his 70s still carrying transmissions by himself. Like, just, he never got old until cancer hit him. It was like cancer hit in 6 months, he was gone. So I didn't really get a lot of seeing him ever be weak or anything other than that 6 months. But it was a struggle for me because, again, I took up the mantra of what strong meant. I thought strong was not showing emotion. So it took me to relearn. It took me all of these different experiences of going back into the things that you're talking about. I don't know about manhood because I'm still trying to fake it till I make it. I'm still trying to go out here and go by what females are saying that they want in a man. So I don't know what it means to be married. And then the other component to it, and I hope this is a appropriate place to speak on it.
Always.
Dealing with childhood molestation from a female. So when you come into a standpoint of your first sexual experience as a child is with a female that pressed herself on you, and you don't even understand what's happened to you fully, then you dealing with the guilt of saying, hey, this is my fault because it felt good. Now you taking all of these misnomers and then you getting into an older space to where you are considering being sexually active, and you still ain't healed from your babysitter, from the missionary at the church, from a cousin or somebody that's done these different things. And so now you're trying to process all this. I had a simultaneous love and hatred for females. So I always tell people my favorite movie is Little Rascals. And so to prove it, I always tell them, I, Stymie, member in good standard of the He-Man's Woman Haters Club, do solemnly swear to be a He-Man and hate woman and not play with them or touch them unless I have to, and especially never fall in love. And if I do, I die slowly and painfully and suffer for hours or until I scream bloody murder. I didn't know why that was my favorite movie, though. I found out it was my favorite movie because I had a hatred for females because what happened to me. So on one side, I got my grandfather telling me, treat a woman like you want your mother, sister, or daughter to be treated. On the other side, you triggering me because you look like sister so and so. You look like my cousin. You look like the babysitter. And I'm going in the same time. There's an internal war, and I don't want to do anything to embarrass my grandfather. But that inside fight of why didn't my no mean no? When I said stop, why didn't it matter? If these same things happened to me and I was a female, y'all would have went absolutely nuts in protection. But even when I said, hey, she touched me, you gave me that. You told your first question you asked me was she fine? But I'm a child. This ain't supposed to be happening. So trying to navigate.
How old were you, if you don't mind me asking?
The first time, 6, and then as I got older, with first time with cousins was 6, and then when I got to 9, that was my first experience with an adult, and it was at church, and so it was a confusion because I'm thinking like, okay, uh, this is an adult. You're supposed to respect your elders, and it's supposed to be a safe place because this is church. So to have that experience happen, and then I went to one of my play cousins, uncles. They was 19, I'm 9, and I said, "Hey, sister, so and so touched me." First question he asked me was she fine? And I was like, "Yeah, she was fine." And he was like, "Oh man, that's what's up. That's what I'm talking about." Good. I'm confused
That
because
toxic masculinity.
I don't know how to process that because I want your approval. But I just got finished telling you I got sexually assaulted as a child.
Man, I'm listening to you talk, and I know, of course, I have to do our viewers justice because I want to hear from you. How did you reconcile all of these experiences in your mind as a 9-year-old, as a 10-year-old, and then tangibly, what did you put in place in your life? What did you do as you grew up, as you learned? Because clearly you're emotionally intelligent. Clearly, your higher purpose obviously weren't your experiences, which is why we're sitting there today. How did you reconcile that one as a young person, and what tangibly did you do? Because I want to leave someone who's listening and watching and having a similar experience. I want them to know what they have to do in order for them to transition from where they are to where they need to be or where they want to go. So give us a little snippet about that as we progress through this conversation. And I thank you for your vulnerability first and foremost.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity platform. I think that was the main thing for me was I was 30 before I could even say that I was molested.
Yeah.
Because to me, a boy can't be molested by a female. That's the lie that I accepted. So when I'm going through this and even in experiences that I'm having in college and all of that, I thought it was supposed to happen. Because again, was she fine? And if she wasn't fine, hey, somebody wants you. And so kind of what you spoke to before with that toxic viewpoint and stuff, once I hit the 30 age range, that was where it was first presented back to me. And I think it hit me hard because somebody posed a question to me is, have you brought this into your marriage? And are you bringing this into your fathering, into your rearing of your children? And that's where it no longer became just about me. Now I got a different responsibility. And so as I start having more conversations and I started trying to create that safe place to have that conversation, I'm asking other men, did you bring that into your marriage? Your viewpoint of females, did you take that violation? Are you taking those childhood wounds and bringing it out into now I'm trying to get my lick back? There's so many people trying to get that lick back, get that revenge unaware. And, I'm saying I had to take that chance to say, like, am I doing that? Am I bringing that into another partnership that I'm saying I want to do for life? How I'm going to cover my wife if I'm still looking from a lens of I got to protect myself from this experience, or my view on sex is skewed because now it's pure performance. It's nothing to do with any type of intimacy, any type of partnership or unification. It's just if you can do it good, you good.
Right.
If you don't, you trash. There's no middle ground in it. So if I'm basing part of my identity on my performance, which a lot of us do, what changed for me is when I stopped being scared of not looking like I was the man and I started becoming a man. I'm like, hey, I'm not interested in being bulletproof. If you keep putting me on a pedestal, I'll be the first one to push it over and come stand with you. Like, hey, don't think that I got it all together. I'm actively working towards it. So one of the things my grandfather always said, the same sun that melts butter will harden clay and will evaporate water. Everybody responds differently to the same stimulus. And so from that mindset, I started looking at it, it's like, okay, somebody might have that experience of sexual assault and have the mindset of I'm never gonna have sex again. I'm closed off. I'm protected. Somebody else might come to the mindset and say I'm gonna be hypersexual because now this is something that I'm attached to. Somebody else might have a similar experience, and all of a sudden now they trying to get their power back, so they now become a predator. And then you have somebody who might say I never want that to happen at my hands. But that is all the same sun, the same experience, all different substances. So once I learned that, I stopped putting that generalization on it and start finding out when I talk to these young men and I had the conversation, hey, talk to me about what it is that you're looking for. And so you got young men that are coming. Some of the guys I work with, I had one when I started having this conversation, how we create the monsters we hunt. It's one of my speakers' notes that I do at some of the colleges. And he saw one of my videos after I spoke at UT. And he comes back to me and say, Mr. Chris, when I watched your video, I found out why I don't date black women. And I don't date black women because they remind me of my cousins and sisters that used to molest me when I was younger. And I'm like, yo, how many of us are not dealing with that trauma? And now it's social media has created a platform for me to just bash with no accountability. And I can get all that anger, that frustration out and trauma bond with all these other people with no accountability for myself to actually heal. I just get to get my frustrations out. That's part of the process. But that next step comes in, is it still taboo in my community for counseling? Am I going to therapy? Do I have a mentor that'll tell me the truth when it's not popular? Because somebody might tell you, like, hey, you really don't need to be dating right now. You don't really need to be out there talking to these females. You got some
That
self-work
doesn't fix
that you
your
need.
problem. That's a band-aid. That's a band-aid to the underlying issue. And I think that's where we fall short, even as a community, man. The underlying issues always get, like you said, pushed in the closet, but other people still have access to it. You can still open it, and it's still going to be there. You know what I mean? So go ahead, my brother.
Yeah, I just gotta say, bro. We have a script, we have questions, but we say this in the speaking world. You know this one, Chris. Let him cook. You know what I'm saying? Like we had to sit back, bro. This was actually therapeutic for me.
Sure.
I'm gonna definitely talk to you offline about just because of the sake of time, we got to make some pivots. But like, bro, I want you to know, man, you are a king already. Like we didn't get a chance to talk about it, man, but just listening to you, brother, listening to you from 6 years old to where you are now, what you're doing, man, I'm just overly impressed. Like not kind of impressed, not impressed, like overly impressed, bro. You are a giant, man. You are a giant in the space, and you are so necessary, bro. Like, you are so necessary, man. Have you ever gotten with Daryl Thomas, man? Have you ever did some stuff together?
Yes, that's my boy in Waco.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're actually working now on trying to get into some of the detention centers.
Man, listen, I want you guys to move forward together. Whatever we can do to support you guys, whatever I can do to support you guys. You have the same like ethos and spirit and care like that remind me of some of the elite men that I've been able to network around the world. Bro, you are literally amazing, man. And it was an honor to have you on our platform. I want to give you time to just tell people not only about your program and what you do, but also how they can find more information about any and everything that you got going on.
Awesome. First, let me say two things. One, thank you on a personal note. You really spoke life into my marriage at the conference in Atlanta. Like and I don't know if you were just being led, but you came over there to us and started talking. Thank you for your obedience if you were being led. Thank you for your kindness if you was just moving and freestyle. But you really spoke life into us. And then that moment where all the couples came up and had the opportunity to embrace, I have no hesitation saying me and my wife on a different trajectory since that moment. You know, we came to
Oh
speak and
man.
we left with a stronger unification and a focus on what we're
Oh
doing.
man.
So
Yeah, praise God.
super grateful for that. As far as From Boys to Gentlemen goes, my website, what's the day? So the website will be up on the 15th for From Boys. Then we had to do some, because I threw some stuff together just to have it out there. But shout out to Dayani for the accountability on quality of what we're
Yeah.
supposed to do, and so I'm actually getting our website together for that. As far as From Boys to Gentlemen, just to give a focus. Our focus with From Boys to Gentlemen is our 4 pillars, which is emotional intelligence, conflict resolution, communication skills, and critical thinking. Now we focus those 4 pillars in 3 key areas where we talk about personal relationship, career and education, and community contribution. So as we're going out and just small caveat, we work with the ladies as well. Our sister program is called Queens Take Your Crowns. I've been working with boys and girls all my life, but the girls finally hit, we tired of wearing From Boys to Gentlemen. What about us? So the Queens Take Your Crowns is out there. Y'all got y'all mantra. But just what I want people to know is we're doing the work. This isn't a part-time thing. This isn't something where we're just trying to put a band-aid on something that needs stitches. We're dealing with kids that are trying to fight just to be here. Young men who are trying to find a reason, looking for a reason to not take their own life. People who are healing from struggles and issues that they've never let come out their mouth. And all of a sudden they end a conversation saying, I don't even know why I told you that. I know why, because you've been wanting to say it. But if we can create that safe place for more young men, we're going to continue to have the focus of bringing the father back into the family equation by raising healthy sons, developing strong husbands and fathers, and ultimately community contributors. We are going to continue to do the work. And so as we look for the support, we're in the middle schools. We're working towards a Bridge the Gap program at one of the middle schools here in Abilene. I do professional developments for educators on connecting with kids. So I got a workbook that's called 8 Tools to Tilling the Soil of an Average Student. And so all of the things that we package together is really just toward the focus of I love family. And a lot of that, truth be told, I didn't get it. I didn't get that opportunity to feel embraced. I always felt expendable. I tell people sometimes when your mother leave you, like it's kind of a joke sometimes if you say, I don't know my daddy. It's other people be like, oh yeah, man, I don't know my daddy either. But when you say, I don't know who my mama is, oh, it hit different. They even look at you like, you don't know your mama, like something wrong with you. And so there's a lot of struggle that comes with that in having to navigate those things and try to come to a place of, for the first time, I'm having to redefine family. We can't be so focused and thinking that everybody has the same definition. So that's a lot of the work that we're doing. We're actively fundraising as always, just trying to get to some of the goals so we can get staff and get some of the things that we need. But I'm focused solely on being consistent and being intentional when I work with these young men. And I encourage anybody. One of the things I leave on some wisdom from my grandfather: you can't always make a situation better, but you can always make it worse. But sometimes not making it worse is exactly what it needs to get better. So if you're out there and you don't work with kids, make this commitment. I'm going to take some of my nostalgia. I'm going to take some of my I know everything, and I'm going to put that in my pocket and hold it, and I'm going to commit to not doing any harm. Don't make it harder for the people that work with these kids by creating this culture of them having to believe don't nobody care no way. You're more worried about the height of my pants than the well-being of my soul.
Yeah.
I can't work with that. So that's my encouragement to anybody who's out there from the community. And let's understand we're doing this together. Let's keep the work going.
Man, what Chris, can they follow you on social? Hold on, before you go, Chisy, where can they follow you on social media?
Oh, Instagram is C.3, so CDAUGHT, the number 3. Same for TikTok. Facebook is Chris Daughtery. YouTube is C. So we got our videos and stuff. I'm big on mental health, so we got our mental health Mondays and different things that we're doing. And from there, did I miss anything? That's the social medias we have, and also FB2G Mentoring for our Instagram page.
I love it. Chisy, closing remark.
Man, listen, Chris, I want to thank you for your time, for your efforts. The community needs it. Men need it. Young men need it. And I really want to applaud the work that you're doing and the work that you're endeavoring to do. Man, I was super excited. I'm super excited for you. Just listening to everything that you have going on. I'm looking forward to tapping back in with you so we can kind of get some updates and keep in touch. The platform is 100% committed to supporting you in any way we can. If we could have some synergy there along those lines, we're gonna figure that piece out, man, because I believe what you're doing and your heart speaks volumes. The work is something, but your heart and your passion and the spirit-led man is what's driving you to do all of this. So I really want to thank you for coming on our platform, man, and we look forward to hearing.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. And I was led by the Spirit, and obviously, brother, you was led by the Spirit. Right. So we want to thank you again, man. And as we say on the Boy Man King podcast, the journey continues. We wish you nothing but the best and nothing but success. Man, follow us on the Boy Man King podcast, Boy Man King Talk on IG, Boy Man King podcast on YouTube. Like, subscribe, share, and let's work. Thank you, guys. We out. Be blessed.
Thank y'all.
Yes.